Hey, I'm Heather Pisansky, and welcome to the Agency Advantage Show. This is a show for copywriting, for design, and for marketing agency owners who want to scale their business faster. So today we're going to be talking about how to prep for a sales appointment so that you can rock it and close the deal. And we'll also talk about some updates and some funny things, just a little chaser at the end there around some funny things that we've seen on the web this week. So let's dive right in. This is our very first episode, and I'm really excited for it. It is a big change that we're making in the new year to our content structure. Formerly, we were kind of just putting out random videos. Now we are going to be doing it more in this show format, and we're really, really stoked for that. So what you can expect from us is at the beginning, having some updates. So what are updates? Updates are things that are going to keep you apprised of the different changes that are happening in the landscape. So you are going to hear from us some changes that have come up around the different apps that you and your clients use, around social media, around advertising, around Google and SEO changes, around even website and design changes, WordPress updates, things like that, so that you can kind of rest easy and know that you have the knowledge and have the tools to do the very, very best that you can. This world is crazy and it's always changing and it's hard to keep on top of things. And so we're going to do our best to provide you with as many updates as possible. Definitely, we're going to be adding in more and more as we get going. But for this week, I just want to share with you an update that we've been seeing to the Facebook mobile app. And you might be thinking, well, I don't know how much this applies to me because maybe you don't do social media marketing. But if you get clients through social media at all, it definitely applies to you. And let me tell you why. So the changes that we've been seeing two different changes inside of the Facebook mobile app. The very first one is the appearance of a new group feed. And the group feed is a little button. Let me see if I can pull it out because I actually have this on my phone. Not everybody has this. So some people are seeing it appear, other people are not. Okay. So what I'm seeing here, I don't know, is something that looks kind of like, see if we can get the camera to focus on it. Yes, no, maybe so, not really. There's this button right at the bottom here, right in the middle, and it's got 3 people in it. That is a group feed, and that's going to pull the feed from all of your different groups. What I've been finding is that it doesn't pull very well. It definitely doesn't pull from everything. It definitely doesn't pull from the groups I'm most engaged with. So it probably needs a little bit of work. But what does this signal to us? So this signals to us that, as we know and as we've been hearing, that Facebook is going to be leaning more and more towards this group engagement. And we know that Facebook is going to be, sorry guys, my dog's going here. If you can hear him in the background, he'll be a regular guest on the show. But the Facebook newsfeed, we know that Facebook is going to be introducing ads for groups in the future. And we know that it's a really, really big part of the way that Facebook wants their community to feel, because it really is about community and engaging with people on the platform. Now, the other big change that we've been seeing, and I actually still have this, but it disappeared off of Kyle's phone and off of a couple other people's phone in our community, is the disappearance of the watch tab. So if you've noticed, there is this, and again, I don't know if you can see this. Can we get it to focus? There we go. So right at the bottom there, there's the little video, and this is the Facebook watch tab or the watch list. And it just has a bunch of videos. Again, I found that they're not the types of videos that I would watch. They're not from the people I'd want to see them from. So it hasn't been something that I personally have been engaging with, and I don't know too many people who have. This was a little bit surprising to me, though, that this is being pulled off. And it really does go into some of the predictions that I've seen that Facebook is going to be pulling back on some of the videos that we see in our newsfeed that are more meme-based and humor-based, and trying to push more of the types of content that garners more engagement, like information-based Facebook Lives and all of those things, which is great for business if that is the way that if those predictions do pan out. And so by removing that watch tab, I think because my watch tab is just full of all those types of meme things and the stuff that just gives those short but meaningless engagements, right? I think they want to get away from the meaningless engagement and add more meaning back into the platform. And that's the reason that it's been doing that. And that's really exciting. So, two big changes, but also the consequences of which you can start to think about how that might impact your business and your clients' accounts as you are preparing for the way you're going to work in 2019. So let's dive right in. The second segment inside of our show here, just for the first show, we'll kind of walk you through the structure and it'll be more seamless in the future. The second segment, we're going to talk a little bit about something that I can bring to you, a tip or something like that. So today we're going to talk about how to prep for a sales appointment so that you can have the best chance at closing that appointment. So I'm going to give you 5 steps that we do when we are prepping for a sales appointment and that we used inside of our agency to really prep inside of sales appointments so we could close with crazy high close rates so that we didn't have to waste our time, going from office to office to office and wasting a lot of time. I was having a conversation with an agency owner last night, and he was saying that he just wastes so much time on the phone with people who were never going to buy. And the interesting thing about that is that, yes, we can blame it on a prospect being unqualified, but I would say that the vast majority of the time, if they're willing to meet with you in the first place, they're probably not that unqualified, okay? We're probably stuck in some sort of objection and we haven't done a really good job at doing what I like to call the intervention. And the intervention, for those of you guys who haven't heard this before, I know a lot of you guys have been following me for a while, so you've probably heard it, but some of you haven't. The intervention simply means that when somebody comes and does a sales appointment with you, okay, when somebody comes and does a sales appointment with you, they are giving up their time. Time is a really valuable resource, so we cannot discount that. Okay? We cannot discount the fact that they're willing to give up their time to get on the phone with you. Now, caveat, if you positioned it as a free call or a free assessment or something like that, then they see the value of getting on the phone with you. And we haven't positioned it as a sales call, and therefore we have to do more work to kind of get them to that point. But if we positioned it as a sales call and they know what they're showing up for, they've already pre-qualified themselves. And so if we do not close that, if we lose that to a competitor, if we lose it to an objection, if we lose it to something else, it usually comes down to our prep, or it comes down to our presentation, or it comes down to our objection handling skills. I use objection handling lightly because I think that it's more of an intervention-based process. I think that when people get on the phone with you, they know they already have the problem and they know that they want to solve it, okay? It's our job to, yes, see if there's a fit, but again, we're not going to pitch to them if there isn't a fit. But if we've pitched something to them and we know that there's a good fit, it's our job to lead them to change. Because here's the fact, is that the vast majority of people do not make that decision to change because they are far more comfortable in their current state of normal than they are with the change that you are projecting, okay? And usually that comes from overselling ourselves and actually confusing the customer versus really listening in for what they want. So here are the 5 steps that we use to prepare for a sales appointment. The first thing that we would do is we review their pre-call questionnaire and review their website. If you're not already using a pre-call questionnaire, really simple language to help you to get your potential clients to sign up for or to fill that out would be to say something like, hey, I'm really looking forward to chatting with you on Friday. In order to make the most of our time together, it really helps if you tell me a little bit more about your business. If you wouldn't mind filling this out, it's really, really helpful, and it just allows us to get into more of the meat versus spending a lot of time on the getting to know you kind of bit, right? And so we're just positioning it as something that is going to help us move faster, move into things that are going to be more beneficial for the client. And we find that pretty well everyone fills it out with very few exceptions. We also are going to go ahead and review their website, excuse me. So I'm going to pull up an example here. I'm actually just going to go over to Google, and bear with me here. I'm going to share my screen. If you are listening to this on a podcast, don't fret. I'm going to walk you through this with my voice, so you're also going to know what's going on. So let's head on over here. All I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull up, I'm just going to Google dentists. I'm in the market for a dentist. Okay. And I'm just going to pull up somebody here. I'm just going to pull up somebody here who, there we go. Now I know that this is actually, a friend's dentist. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do somebody that I know. So let's go to this person. I don't know these guys. So gonna head on over there, and this is just kind of in our local area here. Come on, website, come on. Let's just click down here instead. Oh, Google's being, oh, that's interesting. Okay, there we go. All right, so the first thing that we like to do is just review the website, and we like to take a peek at what that looks like. So what I'm looking for here is primarily the things that we can position ourselves against when we're going in. So if you're a website designer, you're gonna look at the design, you're gonna look at the user experience or the UX. If you are a copywriter, you're going to look at the copy. How well is it primed for you to be able to convert? If you are a marketing agency, what I like to look for as a marketing agency and having run a marketing agency is I like to look for what are their core products? What are the things that they seem to really be pushing, right? So things like, they have family and general, they have cosmetic, and they have emergency services. Most businesses don't like to really advertise their emergency services as much because that's hard for them to service. But I like to see, what are they promoting, right? What's important to them? If I can get a sense for what's important to them before I even walk through the door, I'm going to be more prepared with how I want that sales presentation to go. Right? So I typically will go over to their services page, and I'll kind of see how that is lined up. They do have quite a bit of, oh, this might be a good one for me. I get really nervous at the dentist. These guys have sedation dentistry. Woo, perfect. They can just knock me out and get the work done. I'm such a wimp when it comes to going to the dentist, guys. So I would just go through this and take a quick look. You don't have to read through everything, but we do want to know, what are the different, what's the information that we can gather from this? So I would love to see things like this, information and policies, financing options. That is huge. That's a really big thing that we could use for a marketing push. So that is something that I would want to know ahead of time that I wouldn't want to just gather from the client. Because imagine being the client and you coming in and you saying, hey, you know what? I saw that you have these financing options. How are we leveraging that within your marketing? Okay. We live in a town that it's more of an industrial kind of farm town. And so the financing would be really big here. It wouldn't necessarily be big in maybe some of the larger cities. And a lot of people don't have benefits, right? And so because they don't have benefits, dental care is not included, and the financing would really help them out. So just some interesting things that we can really pull from this to say, all right, here are their key differentiators that I see as a potential client. And it will be interesting to see what they see as their key differentiators, because most businesses say their key differentiator is their service and all that kind of stuff, which we know are not real key differentiators, right? So I see the fact that they offer sedation dentistry, which a lot of dentists in the area do not. I see that they offer emergency services, which a lot of offices do not. I see that they offer the financing options, which I have no clue if other people do, but the fact that I have no clue means that a lot of other people probably have no clue that this even exists too. So lots of different differentiators here that I can pull out. A lot of people will position their technology as, and it looks like they are too, right? Their technology as a differentiator. Most patients who would come in don't care, right? Don't care about the technology, just care that my mouth hurts. Right? And so these are some conversations that we can prep for to have. All right, there's Corbin again. He liked that one. So the second thing that we do when we're prepping for a sales appointment is we try to figure out what they're already doing and how we can improve it. Now, we did this a little bit. If you are a designer or a copywriting agency, then you're not going to have to go too much further than this. However, if you are a marketing agency or you do more around the social media or around ads or around SEO, then you're definitely going to have to do that. So we are going to try to figure out where they're already spending their marketing dollars, right? So I like to open up a few tabs. The first place I like to go is over to Facebook. And a lot of times actually they just have this stuff right on their website. So I can see that that's probably their only social media channel because it's the only one listed here on their site. So I'm going to pop in there. I'm going to take a look at this and I'm going to look at a couple of things. I'm going to look at first their engagement. So they've got 268 people who like the page. They're getting, about 10 likes there, 9 likes there. A lot of those usually are friends, family, office workers, things like that. So the engagement on this page is not great, especially for a small page where it could be a lot more engaged. And then I like to go over into this section right here, look at info and ads. So we can see that this person is not currently spending any money on, and this is all public information, right? Like we're not going into anything privacy-wise. We're going just into public information here to try to figure out where they're spending marketing dollars. So taking a peek at that. The next thing that I look at, so I know they're not spending money on Facebook, but they are posting fairly regularly. So probably somebody in their office is doing this. I don't think that they have a social media company doing it, but if they do, then we could certainly look at that. Now they do have some videos in here as well. Sometimes I like to take a look at how those videos were shot. Are they spending money on professional videos, or are they just kind of smartphone videos? So let's take a look at this one. Looks like the best produced one. This looks like probably something that somebody's put together at least, right? That's really nice. That's really cute, but it's not super professional. Probably they haven't spent a lot of money on their videos either. All right, so we know they're not spending a whole lot of money on social media. Social media, it might be a tougher sell or it might be a great sell for them. I'd want to come in with lots and lots of data to back up if I wanted to sell them social media marketing, okay? Because we can see they're trying it, they're not getting great results, so they may be a little bit jaded when it comes to social media marketing. The next place I like to look, and I do this no matter what your service, so you might, if you're doing social media marketing, want to stop there. I want to check out though, and I want to see where those marketing dollars are so we can see where we can steal those marketing dollars. Because the fact is that most businesses, they have a pretty set marketing budget. And so in order for them to pay you, the money has to come from somewhere else. And we have to position ourselves as a stronger solution to what they're already doing. So the second place that I would go is over to Google. So we are google.ca because I'm in Canada. And what I would do is I would type in dentists in Chatham. So I live in Chatham, and I would take a look at the paid ads across the top. So I don't see them there. I would scroll down and I would see if there's any more paid ads across the bottom. I don't see anything there. Okay, I don't see anything on the next couple of pages in the ads for them either. I see some other places, some places that are really not doing a great job at targeting because they're not even in our area or anywhere close to our area. So that's interesting too. I might, if I were doing this, I might add them to a list to call. I'd be like, oh, did you know you're wasting money? Okay, so it looks like they're not spending a whole lot of money on this, or if they are, it's not doing a great job for them. So that's great. And we're going to go back to the main page here. And I'm going to look at more of the SEO related stuff. So where are they in terms of search rankings? They are not placing inside of the places. They're not placing within the top 3 results on the homepage. But what is placing in the top 3 results here are Yelp and yellowpages.ca. So I would want to look at those to see, are they paying for placements on those directory sites as well? And a lot of times you'll just be able to see that because they'll be at the top, and either it will say ad at the very top of it, or it will, you'll just kind of see as you rotate through. So if you refresh the search and then refresh the search again, you'll see a few things move around, but then you'll see a top few that are always staying the same, or maybe just rotating within the top couple of spots. Then you know that they're probably paying for placement within those sites. So for this particular business, I didn't see them anywhere on this particular site. I'd head on over into Yelp as well, and I'd say, hey, is this are they doing anything with Yelp? I don't see a whole lot here, so they're probably not doing a lot of that social engagement either. All right. So we checked social media. They're not spending money there. They're not spending money on ads. They're not spending money on Google, or at least it doesn't look like it. It looks like they have a professionally done site, so they've probably spent some money on that. And actually, we can scroll down to the bottom typically and see a lot of times it would put something here. In this case, they haven't. So one other tool that I like to use is I like to take the web address here, and I like to go to builtwith.com is a great tool to see what their website has been built with. And I can see if it is something like a Wix website or a Squarespace website or something like that, where I know they've probably built it themselves, or whether or not it's been built on, something like WordPress, where more than likely with most clients, it's probably been done for them if it looks really good and professionally done. So in this case, they're using WordPress for their website. And a lot of times you can actually even see the theme or the framework that they're using. So you'd be able to see if there's like a Divi framework on there or a Thrive Themes framework on there or something like that, which can give you some more information as to what they're probably doing. And you probably know your competitors and what they might be using in order to build. So in this case, I would assume that this is probably a professionally done website. They've probably spent some money on this site themselves. Now we head on over into the last place that I like to look is in our local newspaper. So we have a newspaper here called the Chatham Daily News, and I probably check out a few of the different newspapers in that. And if you don't know, because you're doing this online, you could just type in newspaper in whatever city that they're in. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to just take a peek at some of the ads that are going down the side here. I'm also just going to search for their name. What was it? I'm going to see what pops up here. So that's interesting. It says 19 results, but, and then I'm just going to control F. So some hockey sports news came up. Sometimes their search features are just kind of jacked up, but also there might be okay, so this is just coming out because one of the players' names is Garcia. The same as the dentist. So that's not really a flyer. And then I would, if I can, try to actually buy one of these papers even, or look at the classifieds. So there's not a whole lot that this person is spending, but a lot of times you can see more things that this person is spending. So that's the second thing. The third thing that I would do typically in prepping for a sales appointment is to come up with some prescriptions for this particular client and come up with the potential ROI that you think that you could get for them. So what I would do is I would look up or Google average cost of a trip to the dentist, right? And I would take a look at that and I would say typical costs. So it depends on what's included. It says an exam by a dentist can be $50 to $150 or more. A standard teeth cleaning can cost $70 to $200. So just if somebody is coming in for an office visit So, x-rays, which are $20 to $250. Now we're up to about $300. And then if they get a cleaning, we're maybe another on the low end, $70. So we can assume that on an average visit, if they're getting a cleaning, an x-ray, and just a general checkup, that is probably $300 to $400 at least for an average client. Then we can kind of think about how many times does the average person go to the dentist? Well, they're supposed to go every 6 months, but I would say that not everybody does. So maybe they go once a year. So an average client is worth about $400 per year, right? Now I'm going to start to do some math in my head, and I'm going to think, well, if they were to get 10 calls, how many of those people would actually book to come in? And just a lot of this is going to come from your experience, guys, which is why it's so important to niche down. If you niche down, then you're going to know these answers. In this case, I'm going to assume about 50% of the leads who call will end up booking and coming in. That might be a little bit high, but we know from our experience dealing with local businesses in the area that that's about right. Because again, we're smaller town. It's probably going to be much less when it's a larger city. So I'm going to say, great. So if 50% of people call, I need 2 leads to get 1 appointment. That's $400. My break even is then $200 per lead. I know I can get them leads for less than $200, right? I know I can make them money. And this is where we can start to come up with some prescriptions. We can say, well, we estimate that we can get you about 50 leads per month through social media marketing. 50 leads per month should generate about 30 phone calls or 30 reached leads. And from that, you should be able to book 15. And 15 times $400, let's say. So 15 times 400 is $6,000. And then I would go in and say, our service costs X, and then you can show the ROI from there. Great. Our fourth thing that we do when prepping for a sales appointment is just to prep some visuals. So what I like to do is really, this is going to be industry specific. So if you are running Facebook ads, you might have some visuals around the stats of social media usage. That's a really great way to nix any objections that they might have around, well, people in our town, they just know us because they drive past our sign every day, right? You can say, well, that's cool, but when I'm driving past your sign every day, I don't necessarily think that. I still go home and I still Google, or I still look at ads and click at ads, and you can give them some data around that. So when we were selling SEO, PPC services, we would go into the webmaster or into the analytics tools. We would look at the keyword planner tool, and we'd take a look at search volumes for different keywords of dentists in the area, so that we could say, hey, you know what? You might be right. However, there is this subset of 200 to 300 searches per month. These are all people who are clearly looking for a dentist, and you're not getting any piece of that pie. It's all going to the other dentist. If you want a piece of that pie, we won't be able to get you all the pie, but we can get you some of the pie, right? And I would see here, it's not all that competitive. It doesn't look like to actually get them up into the top and get a good PPC. And so I would say we're fairly confident that we can get you X number of clicks per month, which should generate X number of calls, okay? And the fifth thing is to review your pitch and your objection handling. I call them scripts. They're not necessarily scripts, they're more frameworks, but you want to review that before you go into the call so that everything runs smoothly and everything goes really, really well. So that's it. That's 5 tips on how to prep for a sales appointment. Number 1 was to review their website and to review their pre-call questionnaire. We gave you a little bit of a script on how to position that pre-call questionnaire if you want to rewind back if you didn't catch that. Number 2 is we want to try to figure out what they're already spending their money on. And we walked you through how to do that. We're going to check out Google. We're going to check out social media. We're going to look at their ads tab on their social media profiles to see if they're spending money there. We're going to look at different directory sites. We're going to look at different newspapers to see, are they spending money there? The only thing that we can't necessarily prep for is radio ads. Although if you live in the local area, you probably know and can take note. I would always have that local radio station on so that I could hear who's spending some money in that. And then billboards as well, same thing. You'd have to go out and actually drive around and be taking note of that as you're out and about. come up with some prescriptions and try to work the math as best as you can based on industry standards that you know, and you can always change the math when you're there and you have their actual numbers. Prep some visuals for them so you can take some screenshots to bring in, or you could just have the tabs open so that you can show them live right on the computer. I find that if your technology runs flawlessly and you're a little bit more techie, I find that works better typically than having it printed out. And you could also have it printed out to give to them so that they could keep that. And reviewing your pitch and objection handling, scripts or frameworks, so that when you go in, you're confident in what you're going to say so that you can just listen. Because listening and active listening and kind of listening for what is the cue under the cue of what they're saying is really going to help you take that sales appointment to the next level. So the third segment of our show is just a little bit of fun. I like to call it our chaser. So our chaser, of course, is that very last thing that makes all this hard work go down. And my chaser for the week, just something fun that we've been seeing on social media that I've been really laughing at and been into. There are people who are walking around blindfolded for the Bird Box Challenge. You know, Bird Box, right? Super, super, super one of the most popular, or I think it was the most popular, correct me if I'm wrong, video or movie on Netflix ever. And these videos are hilarious. It's just really, really funny. I don't recommend doing the challenge because people are, walking almost in front of buses and subways and all these things. But a lot of them are really funny because it's just physical humor. And if you can come across some of those Bird Box Challenge videos, they're pretty fun to watch. I haven't seen anything result in disaster yet, luckily, but hopefully nobody's getting hurt doing it. If you do see those types of videos around, love them. So good. Tag me in them if you'd like, but really, really fun. All right, guys, that's all we have for this week. Thanks so much for listening to our first ever episode of the Agency Advantage Show, and we will see you guys soon.